If you're involved in manufacturing, or frankly, if you follow economic growth at all, you know the single biggest headache isn't always the factory floor.
Hmm.
It's the paperwork, specifically the regulatory friction.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
Manufacturing sector growth is constantly being bottlenecked by, well, the sheer complexity of local, state, and federal regulations.
It's layers upon layers.
Exactly. And the traditional process for getting permits for a brand new facility,
Hmm.
it's manual, painfully slow, and, because it involves just massive amounts of cross-referencing, it's highly prone to human error.
Oh, absolutely. Easy to miss things.
So today we're diving deep into the technology that promises to solve this, well, this systemic problem.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission is to unpack how the introduction of artificial intelligence, AI, into this permitting process is offering what our sources are calling a game-changing solution.
And it really feels like it could be.
We're going to explore exactly how AI streamlines those workflows and hopefully accelerates those crucial approvals needed to, break ground on a new facility.
And our goal for you, the listener, is not just to understand the tech itself, but really to grasp the immense impact it's likely to have on industrial policy.
Right.
We want you to walk away understanding exactly what AI-accelerated permitting is, and maybe more importantly, why it feels like a necessary next step toward modernizing an industry that, frankly, desperately needs more speed, precision, and regulatory certainty.
Okay, let's start with the sheer scope of the problem because it's big. We're not just talking about filling out one or two federal forms here.
No, not at all.
We're talking about an environment where compliance has to satisfy these nested jurisdictions. You got municipal zoning codes, state-level environmental impact assessments.
All the way up to specific federal safety and emissions mandates. Yeah.
That layered, mandatory level of complexity is precisely what makes the manual process so, well, unbelievably tedious and time-consuming.
And what's fascinating here is that the solution, this AI approach, seems purpose-built to tackle that scale. Well, AI-accelerated permitting is basically defined as using AI-powered tools to automate the regulatory compliance checks and the review processes required for these new facilities.
Okay.
Essentially, it takes what could be weeks of document cross-referencing and that kind of subjective manual element out of the first pass review.
And replaces it with objective analysis.
Exactly, replacing it with objective analysis powered by the tech.
And when you say vast amounts of regulatory data, let's maybe put that in context for people.
Yeah.
A human regulator might spend weeks
Right.
combing through thousands of pages.
Thousands. Engineering specs, environmental reports, zoning variances.
Right. And the source material points out that AI's major advantage is its ability to just quickly ingest and analyze all this data, often using things like natural language processing, NLP, to understand the actual text of the laws themselves.
Precisely. And that speed, that processing power, lets the AI immediately identify potential compliance issues. Well, it could flag where a manufacturer maybe cited an outdated law or missed a required local variance. And crucially, it can sometimes offer potential solutions to those problems.
Okay, that's interesting.
Think about how much time that saves. It potentially eliminates months of that back and forth paper shuffling that currently causes so many projects to just stall out.
Right, before they even get properly reviewed.
Exactly, before they even reach a human reviewer's desk sometimes.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Let's get practical. This sounds, maybe a bit futuristic, but how does the AI actually change the work on the ground? It's not just some magic black box, right?
No, not at all.
The sources seem to detail, like, 3 specific mechanisms that really transform these compliance checks.
That's right. The first one is automated document review, and this is really the foundational step.
Okay.
The AI systems are designed to read, analyze, and sort of structurally organize all the necessary paperwork. Permits, environmental reports, site plans, you name it, every regulatory document.
And how does it do that?
Well, this process relies heavily on machine learning to categorize and understand the document type, even if the formats are different.
And the real power here isn't just, like, filing the documents electronically. It's identifying the gaps.
Exactly. Finding the problems.
The AI speeds up spotting missing information or discrepancies, not just typos, but like crucial details, maybe a mismatching anchorage reported on a tax form versus the environmental statement.
Yes, precisely. Those kinds of costly errors. By catching those issues early, the manufacturer can ensure compliance before they make the official submission.
The one that takes forever.
Right. You fix the problems internally first, which dramatically dramatically increases the chance of getting that first pass approval.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which leads directly into the second mechanism, predictive analysis.
Predictive analysis. Okay.
Since the AI is digesting these massive amounts of historical data, all those past submissions, common approval bottlenecks, typical review times, the eventual outcomes, it can use that data to pretty accurately predict approval timelines for a given project.
Predictive analysis sounds great for planning, definitely. But doesn't that maybe introduce a liability if the prediction is wrong? Like, who owns that risk? Is it the manufacturer or the regulator?
That's a fundamentally important question, and the sources address it, maybe indirectly. The prediction isn't framed as a guarantee, you know? It's more about a massive reduction of uncertainty. The AI isn't predicting if the project gets approved, but more how long the process is likely to take.
Based on?
Based on historical averages and the sort of current compliance score of the submission itself.
So it could flag potential delays.
Yeah. By flagging that a submission is likely to face, say, a 4-month delay because of a common bottleneck, maybe inadequate fire code documentation, the AI gives the manufacturer actionable information.
Actionable certainty, almost.
Kind of. They can decide to submit anyway or take the time to fix the flaw, but they aren't just left waiting blindly for months on end.
And that certainty is where the capital efficiency comes in, I imagine.
Absolutely.
Manufacturers don't have to guess if a project will take 6 months or 18. They get a more reliable planning timeline. That lets them manage construction schedules better, and crucially, the cost of their construction loans.
Spot on. And finally, the third mechanism is maybe the most essential for long-term governance in this really complex regulatory landscape. Real-time updates.
Meaning?
Regulations are always evolving, right? AI systems can track these changes constantly, automatically cross-referencing new legislation against active permit applications, even existing facilities.
Whoa, okay. So are we saying this AI is essentially reading the entire Federal Register, every state environmental bill, every relevant local ordinance, like all simultaneously every single day?
That's the idea.
Because that's what a human team is supposed to be doing, but the scope just seems functionally impossible for people.
Precisely. It's overwhelming manually. So if the state passes a new, stricter water quality standard next Tuesday, the AI could automatically flag all pending facility applications that might violate that future standard.
And update the requirements for the manufacturer instantly.
That's the goal. It means they stay current without having to manually monitor constant shifts in the law. A task that, let's be honest, often leads to accidental non-compliance when handled by an already overwhelmed human team.
Okay, so if we connect this to the bigger picture, these automated mechanisms, they translate into pretty tangible real-world benefits for everyone involved. Regulators, manufacturers, the public.
I think so. Let's start with just efficiency and accuracy. Automation of these routine checks radically reduces the administrative burden on both sides.
Less paper shuffling.
Definitely less paper shuffling between planning departments and applicant offices.
And the accuracy part is vital, too. AI minimizes those human errors we talked about at the start. Think about an administrative team, maybe prioritizing volume, rushing a check, and missing a crucial cross-reference between two documents. It happens.
It does. And it's those minor human oversights that are so often the cause of catastrophic, costly delays. Or worse, full-blown compliance failures months after construction has started.
Forcing a project to halt entirely, face major fines.
Yeah, right. The AI doesn't get fatigued or distracted by, a ringing phone.
Fair point.
Yeah.
And as you noted earlier, what does speed and accuracy immediately translate into?
Cost savings.
Yeah?
Faster permitting means faster facility construction and subsequently faster production ramp-up.
Big money.
The sources make it pretty clear this offers significant cost savings in both time and resources. Could be millions in carrying costs and labor delays for these huge projects.
But here's the benefit that seemed maybe the most surprising to me, and the one that truly shifts the narrative away from just business efficiency.
Ah, yes. Environmental protection.
Right. It sounds counterintuitive that accelerating industrial growth could actually improve sustainability.
It does seem that way at first, but the mechanics actually make sense when you think about it.
Okay, walk us through that. How does a speedier compliance check improve environmental protection?
Well, because the AI is thorough, and it operates without sort of interpretation bias. In manual systems, regulators might, understandably, focus on the biggest violations. Maybe they let minor environmental discrepancies slide because they just lack the time or resources to audit every single line perfectly.
And there's often negotiation, right? subjective interpretation of rules.
Exactly. The human element involves that. The AI, in theory, removes that interpretation layer.
It just enforces the letter of the law. Is that it?
Essentially, yes. It helps ensure environmental guidelines are strictly adhered to.
Strictly.
When compliance checks are ideally perfect and fast, the manufacturer is compelled to meet the highest possible standard of documentation and preparation from the outset.
Interesting.
This rigorous, automated enforcement could improve sustainability in the manufacturing sector as a whole by ensuring basically zero tolerance for compliance slippage.
Wow. That's a powerful insight, that automation enforces rules better, more consistently than a manual system ever could, potentially leading to a higher baseline standard for environmental responsibility.
That's the argument.
But, okay, while the integration of AI is promising, it's surely not without challenges, right? We can't just flip a switch and expect perfect compliance overnight.
Oh, absolutely not. The integration requires significant foresight. The first major challenge really revolves around system maintenance and training.
Right. Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. Manufacturers and regulators have to ensure these complex AI systems are, as the sources say, adequately trained and updated continually. They have to handle constantly evolving compliance standards.
Because the output is only as good as the input.
Precisely. We rely on the output, but the input, the training data, has to be perfect, or as close as possible.
So if the regulations change dramatically, like the state passes some massive sweeping climate change act that alters dozens of existing statutes, the AI model needs more than just a tweak, right? It potentially needs massive retraining.
Correct. And that requires continuous, serious investment. It's not a one-time purchase.
Yeah. If you put garbage laws or incomplete interpretations into the system, you get inaccurate, maybe legally flawed approvals at the other end.
Which ties directly into the second challenge. This one's less technical, maybe more cultural, institutional resistance.
Resistance. And it isn't just about fear of job loss, although I'm sure that's part of it.
That's potentially there, yeah. But it's also about the fundamental process shift itself.
Changing how things have always been done.
Exactly. There's likely to be some resistance from regulatory bodies, maybe staff who are just accustomed to traditional manual methods. Moving from a paper-based system where a human stamp signifies authority
Right.
to a fully automated digital one, that requires a massive shift in institutional mindset.
And staff might also worry about the auditability of the AI's decision.
That's a big one. If the computer says it's compliant but some disaster happens later, how do you trace the accountability back through the algorithm?
Yeah, that lack of human visibility into the algorithmic decision-making process, what people often call the black box problem. That's a very real concern for regulators. They have to stand by their decisions, maybe in court.
Absolutely. They need assurances that they can trust and potentially audit the compliance findings the AI generates.
So the AI needs to show its work, basically.
It creates a necessity for the system, not just to give a yes or no, but to provide a detailed, hopefully human-readable justification for its compliance score.
Citing the specific regulations it checked, the documents that satisfied them.
Exactly. That level of transparency is the hurdle that developers are, currently racing to clear.
Well, those challenges are definitely real, but they do seem solvable, maybe through careful development and transparency. Especially when the stakes, speeding up manufacturing growth while maintaining standards, are this high.
Agreed. They're significant hurdles, but likely not insurmountable.
So to summarize our deep dive today, AI-accelerated permitting doesn't seem like just a technological nicety. It feels pretty essential for the future.
A necessary step.
Yeah, a necessary step toward modernizing manufacturing in a way that ensures economic growth doesn't stall on paperwork.
And by automating those compliance checks, improving overall efficiency, AI really sets the stage for a faster, more productive, and critically, potentially, a more sustainable manufacturing environment.
Right. It ensures that regulatory standards continue to be met, or as you pointed out, maybe more strictly adhered to, without compromising the economic growth of the sector.
That strict adherence point is key.
And that detail about environmental protection is really the fascinating takeaway here for me. The source states AI ensures strict adherence to environmental guidelines, effectively improving sustainability by removing that subjective human interpretation, or maybe just human oversight.
Which raises a really important question for you, the listener, to consider as this tech matures.
Okay.
Given that this AI technology might improve sustainability by strictly enforcing environmental rules that might otherwise be, interpreted loosely, enforced slowly, or maybe just overlooked in a manual review, How might this fundamentally shift the balance of power?
The balance between
Between rapid industrial growth on one side and environmental regulatory oversight on the other, what does this potentially increased non-negotiable standard actually mean for the future of sustainability in manufacturing?
That's a great question. Think about that the next time you hear about a new factory breaking ground. Automated compliance might just be the hidden force ensuring both speed and environmental responsibility, fundamentally changing the cost, maybe, of doing business sustainably.
We definitely encourage you to keep exploring the implications of automated compliance and perhaps the liability structures that will need to emerge alongside it.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive. We'll talk to you next time.